let's get started. So, welcome to Where There's a Will, There's a Way. Today we have the co-host Matt Whiteford, who's with us yet again. All right there, Matt?
All right, how you doing?
I'm good. How's your day today?
Tired. As I said, tired after the gym.
How's your week been? How's your week been?
How's it been? I joined that new gym in Rutherglen. There's a new Pure Gym opened, so I've been trying to get in there as much as possible before doing that work experience thing. So, no, I'm feeling tired because I'm trying to get a bit fitter for that job. Excellent. You know? But no, that's about it.
And our main guest today, Mr. Stephen McPhee. So, Stephen, how are you doing today, pal? Woo!
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. Could be better, but I'm not bad.
How's your week been?
50-50. Could be worse.
Alrighty. So, today we've got Stephen on with us, and he's going to be talking about child bereavement via meningitis, and also a wee bit about addiction as well, guys. So, the reason of Where There's a Will, There's a Way is to try and promote mental health out there, get more awareness for it. If I can help as much as one person, then I've done what I've set out to do if it helps one person. So this is why we're doing the podcast, to try and help others. Obviously, people like yourself come on, they tell stories, share what they've been through, their experiences, and also what your coping mechanisms and strategies have been to try and help you get over that, or if you've been through any counselling or whatever the case is. Okay. So, what I'd like to do this now is just give a wee quick thank you to the people that I've got some videos from. So, I'd like to thank Child Bereavement UK, also Studio Film Blind, who are a German company, a German production company that's done a wee video as well. Also Voxy and iHeed. So thanks very much, guys, for letting us use the videos. So what I'll do is I'll play two wee videos, one on meningitis and another one, what is grief, child bereavement. Okay, and then I'll come back to you guys, and then we can see how it resonates with yourself, and take it from there. Okay. Also, just quickly, I better remember, if it wasn't for Green Sunrise podcasts, Big Paul Quinn, thanks for giving me the platform to do the podcast on. If it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be doing this podcast. So initially, I started as a co-host, and then I was a guest, and that got a wee bit of a bee in my bonnet wanting to do something like this. So here we are today. If you would like to follow and subscribe as well, that would be greatly appreciated, guys, for any follows or subscriptions. Also, put comments in the comment section if you have any questions. I'll ask them, because interaction is always good and it helps the analytics as well. So without any further ado, I'll put on the first video. And we'll get this moving. So, meningitis first.
Today, we will discuss meningitis. Let's see what it is. Meningitis occurs globally, but is worse in some places than others. This disease is very serious and can kill. However, it can be treated so that people do not die. Meningitis is inflammation of the meninges, which are the covering of the brain and the spinal cord. It is most often caused by bacterial, viral, and fungal infection. This disease is common in children, and it may begin as complication of other diseases such as measles, mumps, malaria, or even as an ear infection. Community health workers, parents, and carers can all play a role in reducing the number of deaths caused by meningitis. It is important to look for any of the following signs, particularly in infants and children, but remember that meningitis can also affect adults. A high fever is a common symptom and can be accompanied with vomiting, severe headache, and a stiff neck where the child looks very ill and lies with his head and neck bent backwards. In babies less than 1 year old, the soft spot on the top of the head, known as the fontanelle, may appear swollen, known as bulging fontanelle. Sometimes a child suffering from meningitis may also experience fits or convulsions. At the late stage of meningitis, a rash may be visible on the child's skin. If you have a glass available, it is possible to do the tumbler test. If the glass is pressed firmly against the rash, it will not fade and will remain visible through the glass. If this happens, you must seek medical advice immediately. But remember, you must also be aware that a rash does not always appear in a sick child or adult. Sometimes early meningitis can be hard to recognize, but the child may also cry in a strange way, even when the mother puts the child on her breast for feeding. The child may be unusually sleepy and unresponsive. Often the children get worse and only become quiet when they lose consciousness. In other children and adults, you may notice that they dislike bright lights. Not all of these symptoms will appear. Even if just one symptom appears, you should take the situation very seriously and act as soon as possible. Remember, meningitis can kill. Treat appearance of any symptom very seriously and seek medical assistance immediately.
It's hard when someone you know has died. You might cry and be overwhelmed by difficult emotions. Perhaps you feel angry or envious of others who are not bereaved. Sometimes things that people say to make you feel better can make you feel worse. It can feel like you're carrying a heavy weight. You may not want to eat much, and it can be difficult to sleep or concentrate. You may no longer enjoy the things you used to, or might believe you'll never be happy again. These feelings are normal, but this intensity of pain won't last forever. Grief can come in waves. One moment you're fine, and the next you can feel as sad as you did when the person died. It could be on the anniversary of their death, or if something unexpectedly triggers a memory. This is normal too, because when someone has died, you don't just move on, and nor do you have to. In your own time, you can start to remember them in ways that comfort you and fit alongside other important things in your life. Your grief is unique, so do what's right for you, not what others expect. Grief isn't something you just get over. It will always be with you. With support, you can begin to rebuild your life and feel hopeful about the future again. For someone to talk to, call our helpline on 0800 02 888 40 or live chat via our website.
So, that is the videos. So, Matt, does any of that resonate with you at all?
Well, yeah, definitely. Obviously, my ex and I, we lost our son when he was just a baby. He was born, and then obviously 9 hours later he lasted. So, yeah, no, it touches home with me, you know. Unfortunately, one of the most horrible things I think a parent can go through is watching the death of their child, isn't it? So, it's going to be a touchy one today. So it is.
And just before we go any further, I better remember, give a trigger warning. So there may be some triggering What's the words I'm looking for? Help me here, Matt.
Phrases, sentences, I don't know.
There may be phrases, sentences, issues that get brought up today. It may trigger you. If so, I do apologise in advance. Obviously, we don't want to trigger anything in anyone, but obviously the issues that we're going to be discussing today potentially could trigger people. Stephen, what about yourself? Obviously, we're here to talk about this with you. So, just a wee quick brief bit before we go on, how this resonates with yourself.
I think for me, I can see where that mean I agree with some of the points, but I don't know if Matt would maybe be the same opinion as myself, that a lot of it, the deep issues aren't discussed. You know what I mean? There's things that you have to deal with in the aftermath that no matter how many videos you watch, how many specialists you speak to, you just weren't prepared for what's about to come. Do you know what I mean? It changes you as a person, and it changes your view on the whole world around about you.
It does, doesn't it? Your whole outlook changes. It really does. And how you process that journey, so to speak, of grieving, you know. Everybody's different, I suppose, isn't it? How they deal with grief. But it's definitely one of the deeper things that, if you want to go into it, I'll go into it with you as well, Stevie. It's up to you, you know.
No, but I can go. You know what I mean? I can go deep. It took me maybe 20 years, just under 20 years, maybe lying there, maybe just under 20 years, to actually realise that I was grieving, that there was something wrong. Like, I changed as a person. Like, my family and about me told me I was this and that. You know what I mean? I've no used swear words, so to speak, but you can imagine the things that I put people through because of the hurt that I was feeling, and I pushed everybody else away, and it just completely changed me, and it changed my whole attitude to everything, even work. Like, I couldn't hold down a job. I thought, is it me? Am I the problem? And then obviously later on in life I was told, no, Stephen, you hadn't grieved properly. You lost your son young, and you grieved later on in life. So now I'm looking at it, I can see where it's went wrong. Do you know what I mean? But see, to be honest, mate, there was no help at all. I wasn't offered any help after my son died, none. I was just basically sent home and told to deal with it.
See how you're saying that, Stevie, and you're saying everything about the job and everything, and you're pushing people away. What was the underlying emotion that was actually resonating through all the experiences that kept pulling you down with the job and pushing people away and things? What if you could think of it?
I think a lot of it was my own thoughts. A lot of it was like, I'm no good with authority, right? So if somebody was telling me what to do, it was like, I'd be like, watch how you say it to me. Do you know what I mean? Don't, like, I used to feel like people were ordering me to do stuff. Now, maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just genuinely saying, look, you need to do this and that. But I was like, look, there's a right to speak to people. That means if you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. But it was just, I was always angry, mate. I was getting into work in the mornings. I was angry. I was angry with the world. I was angry with the fact that I had to wake up and deal with the thoughts in my head day after day. Like, I'd wake up and think about my son. I'd spend my whole day thinking about my son, and I'd go to sleep thinking about my son. So it got to a point in life where I've got two other kids now, you know what I mean? I've got a 14-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son, and I'm like, I need to change for them, do you know what I mean? They can't be seeing this guy wake up every day angry at the world. Like, I didn't want to play with my kids. My kids would come out of the room and say, Dad, do you want to play? I'd be like, no, go away. And my kids would say to me, like, you don't love me, Dad. And I realised, like, yeah, I'm actually pushing my kids away here. Like, I am the problem, but I couldn't make my kids understand what was going on because they were so young and they didn't understand grieving and what their dad was going through. So it was hard for me to process, do you know what I mean? But it's, I don't know, there's a lot, like I said, the aftermath, it's not discussed enough. It definitely isn't discussed. It's not out in the public. There's stuff that affects you, your family, do you know what I mean, that runs deep. Like, I've lost relationships. Like, I've been in relationships, probably good relationships. I've pushed that person away. Like, that person could have had a good heart or whatever. I've systematically pushed that person away. That was just through my own anger. So that's I don't know, mate. It's. I'm still trying to process some of it, and I still don't understand some of it. But as each day goes along, I understand it a wee bit more.
It sounds like a protective mechanism, Stevie. What you've done is you've pushed everybody away, because obviously some people who have been close to you have hurt you in the past, and then what you've done is you've went black or white thinking, get rid of everybody. Which, by the way, I done. I had friends who weren't good for me, and they were pulling me into stuff, drugs, drink, women. That the women was fine, but the drug and the drink, a joke. But so what I did was I went like that and said, right, instead of just pushing the bad people, I actually pushed everybody away. And it took me honestly about 5-10 years to realise it and go, I've actually isolated myself completely for good people, because I was actually at first trying to get rid of the bad people and keep them back from my life, But it's not a bad thing keeping the good people close to you. But what you said there as well, Stevie, with the relationship, I was in a great relationship with a lassie, and I was and she didn't do anything wrong. And then I was blew out of proportion, went, I'm away, and she knew what I was doing. She's like, You're just running, Matt. I know what you're doing. And I'm like, no, I'm not running. You're just running. Well,
what we'll do is we'll take it from the beginning and then work our way through things, so everyone gets basically a whole picture of everything. So, like for myself, I can't really relate as such to the whole child loss thing. The closest I've got to a child loss is losing a pet. Not trying to take anything away from you. To me, my pet was my child. And I'm always like that when I've got pets. So the closest I've got was losing my father. That was quite a traumatic thing for me, so it was at the time. But if you take us from the start, like before everything happened, how things were, just so we can build up a picture in a sense of the way things were before, and then when things started to turn and at the very start and that. Yeah. On you go.
I think, I don't know, it's hard to, like, everything's hazy for me, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to remember my younger years, like, after I lost Kieran, I was put on antidepressants and I just locked myself away. It's just, I don't know, I still can't understand it today. I'm not trying to understand it, but like I said, maybe if the medical side of it had helped me a wee bit more, like I had no counselling, I had nobody to speak to, I wasn't offered any child bereavement therapy or anything like that. So it's just, I feel hard done by, do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
the way I look at it is there's probably other couples that are younger than me that have lost kids that are suffering just like me. I don't want people to feel sorry for me because I'm a dad that lost a kid, do you know what I mean? That's not what I want. I just want people to understand that sometimes after you lose a kid, you change as a person. Like, you become somebody that you don't recognise, you know what I mean? And sometimes other people in the book, you need to understand that all you're looking for is somebody to come up and literally put their arm around you and tell you everything will be okay. Sometimes that's all you need to get through your day, do you know what I mean? But I can understand family members were struggling. Nobody wanted to speak about my son's death. Like, I couldn't speak to my mum. I couldn't speak to my stepdad at the time. My brother was hurting as well. He was going through his own things with his kids and stuff. So it was hard for me to always say to people, do you know what I mean? Look, I need some help. I just couldn't get the words out. I didn't know how to say it.
So what about when he was born or just before he was born? How was things on the lead up to the birth? Was everything fine? Or was it after the birth things started to happen?
It was after the birth, just after the birth. For what I can remember, my son Kieran was born in shock. Now, I didn't know what that meant at the time. They just said the baby was born in a wee bit of shock. He was took away for a few moments after his mum had delivered him. He wasn't breathing, I believe, for maybe the first minute or two. And then we were worried, obviously, like, what's going on, the baby's not breathing. They were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, it's normal. And then he started breathing, and everything was okay. Like, we thought, right, great, healthy baby boy, do you know what I mean? You get put in the ward, you do your rounds, that means you do your natural thing, and then within 24 hours, it just he sort of changed. Like, the paediatrician, I believe, that comes round to do the checks before you're released with your baby, he came round to do some checks, and he was checking his legs and he was checking his arms, and I was like, to me, like, I'd noticed my baby wasn't moving. I know newborn babies don't move much, but you expect a wee bit of movement, and I'm like, the baby's not moving, and he's like, no, the baby's fine. And I'm like, are you sure? Because he's not made a sound, he's not moved at all. And he's like, it's just normal, don't worry about it. Boom, away home. That means, so we took the baby home, and I think it all started when a health visitor came round to see Kieran within the first couple of weeks. And I can't put a time on it, but he must have been about maybe 46 weeks old at the time. He was really small. That means he was in a wee kind of Moses basket, and she came out, the health visitor, and she said, how's the baby been? I said, yeah, he's been feeding fine, he's been sleeping and stuff like that, everything's fine. And she asked me, she said, does he always sleep on the one side? And I said, what do you mean? Now, I'd always put my son down like flat on his back to sleep, but he used to like turn to the left ever so slightly, as if that was a comfort to him. And the health visitor said to me, every time I come out to your house, he's always been sleeping in his left side. They expected the baby to move. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, we'll get him a doctor's appointment and that, and we'll get him to see a paediatrician, like a specialist in that, and see if there's any underlying issues. So it just, it spiralled for there. Basically, for that very day, it spiralled for there. That was when my life completely changed, just over the opinion of a health visitor who was in my house. Do you know what I mean? So it's...
So at that point when they said that to you, what went through your head? What were you thinking?
I wasn't sure, mate. I was just, see, to be honest, while I was young and I was immature, I wasn't ready for a kid yet, as you can imagine. We all do things, stuff happens, do you know what I mean? But it didn't, nothing was going through, and it wasn't until we started going, I think it was a place called Rainbow House, that's in Urban Ayrshire. I believe it's a place for kids with like motor stuff and disability, like, all different sort of disabilities. We seen a paediatrician over there who started seeing Kieran on the regular, who started taking him away and having a look at what they would take him away. And I'd be like, what are you doing? And they'd be like, oh, we're looking at his hands, we're looking at his arms, right? And then they would come to us, they'd come to his mum and his dad, and they'd say, can we look at your hands and your arms and your history of health in your family? Has anybody ever been born with a disability or anything like that? And I'm like, no, not my family. I mean, we've not got a history of anything that I knew of at the time. So it was like, oh, we're going to do some blood tests, we're going to do some scans and stuff. And I was like, right, okay, obviously I started panicking when they mentioned, we're going to give your son an MRI scan. And I thought, an MRI scan? He's just a baby. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is going to be serious if you're giving him an MRI scan when he's a baby. So that's when I started asking questions like, why are you doing an MRI scan? Oh, we'll speak to you like afterwards, is the answer I got. We've got a few concerns, but they couldn't outline one major concern. So it was like, we may be checking for one thing, or we may be checking for two or three things. So he was rushed away, mate. I can't remember the details. It's really, really hazy. I can't remember a lot of it, but he was rushed away, had an MRI scan, and within a week we found out the results.
So what sort of symptoms did you notice, or what did you notice that wasn't quite right at the time?
I think for me, like, I'd seen other babies and I'd noticed that other babies start making wee noises and certain movements, or just wee small things, mate. Like, I'd noticed he wasn't making any noises. His wee hands and legs were always floppy. Like, I'd always try and play with him, and it was almost as if his wee body was in its own wee world. Do you know what I mean? Like, he couldn't play. He couldn't, like, grip, even like a baby would grip your pinky. He couldn't grip a pinky. So I was like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? Why is he no moving about? Why is he a kind of floppy baby? And then obviously after the MRI scan, I realised exactly why, which is another story in itself.
Can you move a wee bit more central? Because every time you turn your head, it's like the light changes. It's like it goes dark then light, then dark then light. So his hands were floppy, so basically all his limbs were floppy and stuff like that, and it was quite quiet, yeah. Was
Nah, he
anything
didn't
else at
move
all?
much. He didn't move much, mate. He just lay still a lot. He didn't like certain noises, like ringing and stuff, like maybe bells or like my doorbell at the time, something silly like that. Like there was one thing I noticed, like my wee niece had a pair of Sketcher trainers at the time, and I remember she opened the wee Sketchy bit and it makes that noise, and he started screaming. Now, I'm deaf myself, I wear 2 hearing aids at the best of times, and I thought maybe it's something to do with hearing, maybe it's a sensitivity thing or whatever, and then I realised, no, there's something deeper here, there's more going on, do you know what I mean? Like, why? And I said to the paediatrician, like, he doesn't like noises and stuff, and see, every time I was telling them these things, like, they were saying, oh, we'll wait and see, we're waiting on results, blah, 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 so, but it was just wee small things I would notice, mate, wee things.
Okay. You got anything on that, Matt?
No, nothing yet. Nothing.
Alrighty. So paediatrician comes back to you, tells you what the actual issue was. So what did they say at that point?
I remember it all. We were sitting in a room in Rainbow House, Irvine, and I think it was a doctor by the name of Dr. Robertson, if I remember it, a really nice guy, one of the best paediatricians I've ever met. His duty of care, I must say, was second to none with Kieran, but yeah, he sat us down, and at the time I was with, obviously, Kieran's mum. I'm not with her anymore, sadly, but I was sitting with her and her mum, my son's granny at the time, and he sat me down and he said, it's bad news. The results of the MRI scan are back. I know you're maybe going to struggle to understand what's going on right now, but this is what's happening. So basically, to help me look, we think your son's got cerebral palsy or some sort of cerebral malformation that they were still obviously looking into. So I didn't understand. I was like, cerebral malformation, cerebral palsy. Like, I heard the name, but I'm like, what does that mean? That mean, like, I just imagined, like, I don't know, my son was going to be in a wheelchair in a vegetative state. Like, I didn't know, I wasn't sure. And they're like, he's basically got issues with his motor neuron development and his developmental delay and all these things. So I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, how does that change his life? How does that change your life? And that's when they started to tell us all about cerebral palsy and the causes and the root issues, and that, I mean, what obviously was going to happen for here on in with his life, his wee life. So it's still the day same when I'm thinking about it, mate. It's, I don't know, it's hard to understand. I still don't understand it, even after all these years. I still don't understand. I'm like, how? Why? Like, that mean, did I do something wrong? Like, was there something going on that we missed? Or, but they tell you, like, it doesn't need to run in the family. It can be just a chance. That I mean, it's just one of these things. It can happen. It can be a mix up before birth, like if the lady's got an infection or the kid's been starved of oxygen after birth. There's all these things that they tell you, mate, that mean you're like, well, why? But you're still not telling me why. I need to know why, but it's like, no, we can't tell you why. There could be different issues going on here and reasons why. So
That's what
I wish I knew, mate. Like, it's one of the things that sticks with me still today. I wish I knew why my son was born with cerebral palsy. I don't know, mate. I'll never get that answer.
That's what I was going to ask, if they actually said what the cause of it possibly was at the time. So when they were telling you about the cerebral palsy, did they explain, just for everyone that's watching or maybe watching, what exactly is cerebral palsy?
It's basically a motor. What was it called? Some sort of like motor neuron disability where your bones don't come along the way that mine and yours would. Your developmental delays behind, like everything, mate. It can be your hearing, your movement, your speech. Like all they kept saying was your child's got what we call floppy bones. And I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, it means you'll never be able to like walk like a normal child. You'll never be able to like maybe hold something like a normal child. But that's not to say that they can't learn along the way.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot involved. Obviously, I'll discuss it with you soon afterwards. That they go into like physiotherapy and stuff where they try and like help them, like I don't know, not to walk, but to have some sort of mild development with their legs, so they can maybe learn how to use maybe one leg at a time or one hand at a time, or understand like things like colours and noises and just all these small things, mate. But it's a complicated process. It involves a lot of different therapies, like occupational therapy, speech therapy. Like every day of my life, mate, was an appointment. Monday to Friday was an appointment between physiotherapy, room or house, occupational therapy, the speech therapist. So it's lots of things, mate. It's not just one or two things. It's like 10 different things.
And how did that affect your relationship at the time? How did she react to finding that out in yourself?
I think, to be honest, both of us were, shall I say, immature at the time. We didn't understand what was going on, but we grew up fast. We started realising, right, we've not got a normal life like every other couple. We, shall I say, that I mean, normal kids, as they call it nowadays. What is normal, do you know what I mean, in this world? But it was like we were looking around and realising like we don't have the life of other parents. Like we couldn't take Kieran out for days out. That mean we were always stuck in the house. It used to cause fights and arguments, and but we were both immature. Like I was as much to blame as Kieran's mum was at not understanding the whole process. Like I was that immature that sometimes I maybe ignored the whole process. Like I'd be like, oh, I don't care. But I did care about my son, but I just see him and all the specialists in my house every single day, mate. That affected us. It was like, you'd wake up tired, you'd be like, right, I'll get a wee extra hours lie-in, up the door would go, another round of therapy. It's just, we had no time, mate, for us. We couldn't do anything. I didn't have time to spend with my family. It affected me badly, mate, really badly.
Okay. And on that, obviously it affected you and sent you into addiction and stuff like that. How did that affect the wee man?
I probably could have been a better dad than Kieran at the time. But I tried my best, mate. Like I said, I was young, but my wee boy, to be honest, mate, my wee boy came on leaps and bounds. He'd done his physiotherapy and that. They would come out and they put him in what's called a standing frame. Parents of kids with cerebral palsy will know what I'm talking about. A standing frame is basically a frame designed to do what it says. You strap them in, it's designed to help straighten your spine, and you've got like a table on it, and the table can be used for sensory play, like sand, water, things like that. So they started doing all these wee things there. When he was coming on, like, he was learning, you could see that he was eager to, like, he started lifting things up. Like, one of his favourite toys was a set of bells. They managed to somehow teach him how to grip the bells. So the minute he started shaking these wee blue bells that I'd bought at an early learning centre, if I remember right, it was non-stop, mate. He shook these bells day and night. So he went from a child who could barely move to a child that learned how to pick up, grip, have a sense of noise, do you know what I mean? And start playing about with shaving foam, water. But I will say he didn't like being strapped into a standing frame. He absolutely hated it. But the physiotherapist explained that's because the baby has a curve in his spine. A lot of babies with cerebral palsy have a small curve in their spine, and they were trying to straighten that curve out. So obviously it was causing him pain, and that would affect me. I'd be like, my baby's in pain, and they're like, no, but this is the best thing for him. This is what we need to do. And I realised he came on great, mate. He became his own wee character. He started communicating by making noises. So they would teach him like red ball, blue ball, what one do you want? And he would always pick the blue ball. Funnily enough, the bells he had were also blue. So then they started things like silver and white. He would pick up everything that was silver. So one of his favourite toys was a whisk. And he started picking that up, and I swear, mate, he never let that whisk go for about a year. Like, no matter how much I tried to take this whisk away and change the toy, he wasn't for it. So he did, mate. He came on great. Do you know what I mean? He was doing brilliant. And I thought, right, maybe one day he'll be able to communicate. Maybe he'll be able to talk. Maybe he'll be able to actually lift things up and actually play with them. And that all changed, mate. The minute he turned 2, that all changed.
Okay. So at that point, what happened?
He took a wee downturn. He just became unwell. He had a wee cold. It started off what I thought was a cold. He got unwell. He decided he didn't want to do his physiotherapy anymore. He would scream the house down. Didn't want to do any sensory play. He just wanted to sleep a lot. He didn't want lifted. So I took him to a doctor. I made a wee emergency appointment, and I said to him, look, he's unwell. I think he's got a wee cold. He's a wee runny nose and that, like babies usually do in about the winter. And the doctor had a wee look at him, and he said, oh, he seems fine. I'll give him some Calpol, send him up the road, open the windows, get him plenty of fresh air. So I done that, and I took him home, and he remained unwell for maybe another 4 or 5 days. I made another emergency doctor's appointment. Again, they used to see him all the time, obviously, because they knew Kieran had a disability. They would see him straight away. So they seen him in the second appointment. They asked me what had changed. I said, he's not eating now. He's not had any bottles. He's not any dinners or anything. He was eating the wee jars and stuff. And they're like, oh, is he eating at all? I said, yeah, he's eating a piece of Milky Bar, like one piece of Milky Bar. And they're like, right, is he drank it? And I said, couple of ounces of milk, that's it, nothing major. So they were like, oh, take him up the road again, double his Calpol intake, give him plenty of fresh air, don't put loads of clothes on him, make sure he's not too warm. I was like, right, okay. Took him up the road again, and I think within 24, 48 hours, he was really unwell. From what I remember, I woke up, he sounded dead chesty. Like, I can only describe it as the way, like, an old man sort of cough. Like, the way my granddad would sound if he coughed, do you know what I mean? And I thought, something's not right here. He must have some sort of viral or something's going on here. To me, it sounded like bronchitis or something. So I was like, no, we need to go up to the hospital. Like, I need to take the baby to hospital. And that day, his gran was there. She was actually picking him up to babysit for us so we could get a wee break. She was like, put the baby in the car, there's something going on here. Like, we all knew, we were all panicking, do you know what I mean? I'm like, right, put him in the car. I remember grabbing him. I remember getting out my front door. I think he just kind of passed out in my arms, so to speak. Like, and I started panicking, I started screaming and bawling, like, he's passed out, there's something going on. And I'm trying to talk to him, like, Kieran, are you okay, son, are you okay? And I got in the car, mate, and it was horrible, mate. Just to describe it, he started fitting in my arms, mate, and I knew something's wrong here. There's something really wrong here. We got to the hospital. We ran into the E&E department. I think I handed him over to his granny at the time because I was obviously shaking and panicking and crying. His mum was crying. And a wee nurse ran out. A nurse ran out for the reception, mate, and she grabbed my baby and she said, this baby's seriously unwell. And I'm like, what do you mean? And another nurse ran round the corner and had a look at him. And I remember specifically a nurse saying, this baby's legs are mottled. Now I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't look at his legs. I was looking at his face, watching his eyes. And I'm like, what do you mean his baby's legs are mottled? And the nurse took me aside and she said, I don't want to panic you, but I think your baby's in one of the stages of meningitis. And I was like, what do you mean meningitis? Like, what's going on here? And they rushed him away, mate. And I can't remember for that A&E hallway to the ICU ward. I don't remember a thing, mate. Like, it's a haze. It's 1 minute I was in the A&E department, and the next minute I was in ICU watching my baby dying and being told that he might make it and he might not make it. So it was crazy, mate.
That's nuts. Matt?
No. See, Stevie, when you were going through all this with your ex, what ages were you at this point?
I had Kieran, mate, when I was 20, about to turn 21.
So you're a young boy yourself at this point. It's
Yeah.
a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. So that's.
I can't remember. I think Kieran's mum was around about the same age as me. There was only a couple of years between us, so she was the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's I don't know, mate. I just remember like getting up to the ward. I remember being put in a room and told again it's touch and go. I said, "Where is my baby?" They said he's basically been looked at by numerous specialists. He had stopped breathing. He had no pulse. They managed to start his heart again, I believe, and then he came round, and I think they said he was crying. They came in and told me, they said the baby may be okay, he's crying, but it's still again touch and go. Within a few minutes of that conversation, the nurse ran out the room again, back into the room where Kieran was. We weren't allowed in the room, obviously. He was all wired up and he had all these resus tubes and things like that on him. And they were like, the baby stopped breathing again. We're trying again. We're trying to start his heart, but he's really, really unwell. And we're like, what do you mean he's really unwell? Is my baby going to die? Is my baby going to die? That was all I kept asking him. Is my baby going to live? We don't know. We don't know. They just said that, again, we think it's meningitis. It's took over his whole body. It's in his arms, his legs, it's in his blood. The blood tests had come back and said that he got septicemia, which is a normal side effect of meningitis, that had went into his blood, and that was the danger, that if that septicemia gets into your blood and into your brain, it becomes then more difficult.
Yeah.
And I just remember, mate, in the middle of that whole conversation, a nurse walking in the room, and I remember saying, "Can I go in and see my baby?" And they shut the door, and another nurse came in behind that one, and I think I had maybe 3 or 4 nurses in the room at the time, and they came in, mate, and they shut the door, and see that way you knew, like you felt it, like something was wrong. And I looked at them, and I remember them telling me that he was gone, and I was like, I can't even describe the feeling, mate. I remember falling to the floor. I remember leaving the hospital room. I remember running outside, like, this isn't real. I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. I remember punching a bus stop, and I specifically remember punching a bus stop because I had a watch on, a good silver watch that I'd bought, I believe, for my 21st at the time. I think I just celebrated my 21st. And the watch broke. That's how I always remember it. And I went back up to the ward, and I'm like, I want to see my baby. I want to see my baby. And they were like, oh, you can't see your baby. And I'm like, no, I want to see my baby. I remember a nurse trying to force me back into the room we were waiting in. And I'm like, no, I want to see my son. I don't get the like, oh, he's full of tubes, he's full of wires. I don't care. I want to see my son. And I remember they sat me in the room and they brought him in, and all I can say is that very moment, everything that I seen and felt is the day my life changed. That vision will always stick with me. It never goes. I go to sleep at night, I still think about what I seen. Like, that's the last memory I have of my son, sadly, is that picture. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, why is my son full of wires and tubes? Obviously, I didn't understand. They were trying to save his life. They needed all these things to stop breathing and stuff. And I'm like, I need the tubes out. That's not my son. Take the tubes out. And they were like, we can't now because he said meningitis. It's a very complex situation. There's a lot of infection, disease control stuff involved. And I'm like, no, I want the tube out his mouth. At least take the tube out his mouth. And I remember the wee nurse, she took the tube from his mouth for me. She's like, we can do that, but we can't take any of the wires and that off because we need to wait. And that was a very dark void, shall I say, that years later, now that I'm later on in life, I'm 41 now, coming up for 42, and I'm still trying to get that out of my head. I think that's one of the things that I struggle to deal with, is the whole aftermath of what I seen. I just can't forget, mate. Like, I could be standing, waiting on a bus, coming home from work, and see if I'm thinking about it, mate, I'll get a backflash, and I'll just completely zone out and just think about that moment. But I've kind of learned how to control it now. I mean, a wee bit I've kind of learned, but it's still there, mate. It's all still there. It's still raw. The emotions are still raw. But I will say this. It took me years to be able to talk about it. Like the way I'm discussing it with you guys. You know, see, if you went back maybe 15 years ago, there's no way I'd have been out here discussing this with you. I'd have broke down at the very mention of my son's name. But I decided, mate, that no, my son really, I wanted that. Know what I mean? I want people to remember my son. I want people to remember, know what I mean, that he was strong. He fought the whole time. Do you know what I mean? He was a fighter, and that to me, mate, means more than it. That keeps me going every day. Do you know what I mean? That the way he fought for his life, I knew what to fight for his memory. So I don't know that family forget, but you can imagine people die. People tend to not discuss the dead. I'll always discuss my son at any given opportunity. People will say to me, how many kids have you got? I've got 3. Oh, I've only seen you with 2. Yeah, I hate that, mate. I've only seen you with 2. And I'm like, just because you've only seen me with 2 doesn't mean I only have 2 kids. I have 3 kids, one who's not in this earth anymore. And I will say this. Somebody once said to me, but your child's dead and gone. You only have 2 kids now. I won't name the person, I won't shame the person, but what I will say is this. Never ever tell a parent who's lost a kid that you only have 1 or 2 kids, or you're not entitled to have another kid because you lost a kid. Just because you lost a kid doesn't entitle you not to live your life, do you know what I mean? You're entitled to move on, you're entitled to create new life. It doesn't mean you're replacing the one who's passed. It just means that you're willing to move on and live a little, do you know what I mean? So
did they give you any explanation about the meningitis, or were they touching base with you through the whole process of when they were trying to help him out? Or was it just
it was
all manic?
Obviously there's all different types of meningitis, and I think if I remember right, it's type A, type B, and type C, I think. I'm not 100% that right, but basically they told me he had a viral infection. His body didn't fight it too well. Like somebody like me and you with normal functioning organs and bones, like we can fight a viral infection with everything we've got. I believe a child with cerebral palsy struggles to fight that infection off because their body needs to fight that bit more. So they said he had a viral, his body didn't fight it too well. They believe the viral infection caused issues in his lungs. I think after they'd done my son's post-mortem, they said he had fluid in his lungs. That was one of the issues that where the septicemia and meningitis came from. So it was a mixture of things, mate. It was just rolling into one. Obviously, one thing led to the next, that led to the next, and they're like, his wee body just couldn't fight the infection, and he gradually got worse and worse, and that's where the meningitis came from.
No. That's heavy, isn't it?
Heavy.
Absolutely heavy. See,
You know what, mate? Hats off to you, because
aye.
dealing with something like that major and that fucking heavy, it could end a lot of people. So it could.
See as well, Stevie, did you ever feel that after all that happened and you saw somebody, like a couple that had been through the same thing as you, that when you told them your story, they just instantly listened to you with a total different respect, if you know what I mean? It's like, right, you know what I'm going through right now, you know? I found that as well helped with me as well, that I got a wee chance to help others, along the way. Did you find that with yourself?
Aye, I did, mate. Obviously, I'm not going to mention names on a podcast, but there is a certain couple who will know when they watch this that I'm talking about them, and I'll get up to that couple. Like, they've been through the same thing I've been through, the exact same emotions, the exact same feelings, the same issues that come along with losing a child. And they were younger than me, and I started talking to them about it, and obviously me and the man at the time were like, how did you deal with this? How did you feel about this? Blah, blah, blah. And believe it or not, we were in a meeting once with another mental health charity, and the two of us were in the same meeting, and I specifically remember the guy saying to me about, I think the line was, he started like, maybe like pushing his children and that away. And I was like, right. And then it just clicked in my head. It just straight away, I was like, I done that. I pushed my kids away. Like my two kids, when they wanted to come in and play, or just come out and play, Dad, come and do a drawing with me or whatever. It was like, no, leave me alone kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, complete disregard for my kids, mate. Honestly, I wish. See if I could rewind the clock, I'd get up and get out that bed, do you know what I mean, and go and play with my kids. But it does help me when you speak to other parents and you realise, like, I don't know how to put it. Like, I used to think, oh, it's only me. It only happened to me. You know what I mean? And then I realised, no, it's happened to other people. There's other people out there that are struggling just like me. I'm not the only one. Stop being so selfish, Stephen. Do you know what I mean? And talking to other parents that lost kids is an amazing thing, because you find, like, I mean, I've been into Will knows, I've been into Men Matters and stuff. You meet men for all walks of life with all sorts of issues. Like, Will had his issues, I had mine, other guys had theirs, and I was like, I just wanted to speak to somebody who had lost a kid. I didn't want to be selfish about it, but it was like, I want to meet people like me, somebody who knows how I feel. And when I started speaking to other people that had lost kids, and you were bouncing off them, and you're like, oh, I did feel like that. Like, you went through the same thing, you feel the same, you get the same view in life, and you realise I'm not so different. You know what I mean? I'm just a normal guy with some mental health struggles who's trying to deal with the demons in my head, and there is somebody out there to talk to, do you know what I mean? And I will say this, and I've always stated it, they'll say to you, oh, you should maybe try cope counselling or whatever counselling it may be. That's not going to help. Parents who've lost children need specialist bereavement counselling, and that bereavement counselling must come from a parent who's lost a child, not somebody who's went and learned the ropes or studied at university to become a counsellor. Hats off to you. Hats off to you. You want to help somebody, that's fine. But if you haven't lost a child, then don't sit down and try and speak to somebody else that's lost a child if you don't understand. Because I've seen many therapists, mate, who told me, we can't help you. I was passed with pillar to post later on in life, or you need to go and see a child bereavement specialist. I went to see a child bereavement specialist. The first question I asked him was, have you ever lost a child? I was told no, so I walked out the room. Like, what's the point in speaking to me if you don't understand what's actually going on? You need to know and feel how I felt to know how to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's a selfish view to have, but that's just me, mate. That's just my opinion.
One of the things you said, and it happened to me, Stevie, was when my son passed away, he was on a table and something happened that was really horrible. Do you know what I mean? And I had to process that and go, you know, what the hell happened to him there? You know, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because I don't even, it'll never leave your head. But just something happened to his body, and I went, oh my God, right? And it was like, see, when you said that, it reminded me of, you know, you're coming in and looking at this shocked scene that you've never, you couldn't imagine what, you know, your dreams are in that wee boy, you know, that your hopes are in that wee boy, and then you see him at his absolute weakest. And when you said there, but that I a way to kind of deal with what sort of way out did you find for that flipping devastation to try and get out of that thread, to find some sort of normality in your head, to try and get out of that, Stevie?
I think, honestly, mate, 110% honesty here. My daughter. Now, I've got a daughter and I've got a son, right? But my daughter's now 14. Like, I've discussed this with Will. It'll come up. It'll probably come up in the podcast anyway, right? Long story short, my daughter was then born with meningitis. Now, people don't believe me, mate. People think I'm lying when I tell them this story. Now, if you think I'm lying, just go and ask their mums. I've got all the records. Go ask them. I'm not lying. My daughter was born with meningitis, a totally different type of meningitis, right? Now, that's a whole different story. I'll not go into it, right? But she survived. She survived, mate. My daughter is now 14. She dances. She does brilliant in school. She's got no health issues whatsoever. She survived. Now, we thought, mate, we were going to lose my wee daughter. We were told again with her, touch and go. She survived, mate. With the thanks to all the intensive care staff at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And I will say this now, I'm thankful to every single nurse who took their time to come and look after my daughter, because if it wasn't for their ladies, my daughter wouldn't have been here today. They don't know how my daughter was saved, mate. They pumped that many drugs into her that something worked. Either that or somebody was watching over her, and I do believe that. I believe every day of my life her big brother was watching over her, and I've always said that. So for me, mate, it was my wee daughter. I'd realised after that, like, wow, I've got a daughter. Like, I've got another kid. Like, no replacing Kieran or Kieran's memory, but like, obviously you can imagine the first night I took my daughter home, or the first night I met my daughter in the hospital, like, just looking at her, looking in her wee eyes, you know what I mean? I just felt like part of Kieran was looking back at me, and I don't know if that's strange, if other people understand where I'm coming from, but I just felt like this was him saying, this is your chance, you know what I mean? This is your second chance at life. And I had to change, mate. I thought, I've got a daughter, I need to change my life, I need to change my ways, I need to try and deal with the grieving that I feel for Kieran and show her a better dad, do you know what I mean? A real dad. And don't get me wrong, mate, it wasn't perfect. It was far from perfect. Like, I'd split up with my wee daughter's mum. That was solely my fault, do you know what I mean? But I will say, mate, I was always there for my daughter. Like, even now, like, a question, I say to my daughter, look, I'm sorry if I was ever a bad dad. I'm sorry if I pushed you away, but I explained to her, now she's older, she understands, right? You were grieving for your son, blah, blah, blah. And I will say, it wasn't just the grieving, it was the drugs, it was the drink, it was everything. That I mean, I pushed her away. And luckily, I got my daughter back in my life. We bonded again. We're now close, that I mean, and she phones me almost every day. She sends me videos every day. And just for me, mate, my kids, my daughter and my son, and I know I've not mentioned my other son, Anthony, who's now coming up for 9 a lot this, but Anthony came along after Cassie, and again, I went, wow, I've got 2 kids now, do you know what I mean? Like, I may have lost one, but I've got 2 kids here on earth that I need to be here for. I need to show them what a real dad is. And despite how I felt, despite the deep depression that I had, that I mean, I thought I still need to try and make an effort here, because I didn't want them growing up thinking, know what I mean, oh, my dad's an arsehole. That, you know, my dad took his grieving out on us, and apologies for swearing, guys, again, it's a podcast.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Mate, it's unbobbed.
But I had to change for them, mate. If it wasn't for my 2 kids, I probably would have been in the same state I was in all the years ago. But thankfully, because they 2 are here, mate, I had to change. I had to change my whole mindset. That I mean, my habits, go out and get a job, come off the drugs and the drink. And I barely touch drink now, mate. I drink socially, but I don't drink to an extent where I try and block out the memories, do you know what I mean? And I don't take drugs anymore. I was taking cocaine and stuff to cope, to numb the pain. I done myself damage with that. I decided, right, you need to stop, mate. You're going to kill yourself. Do you know what I mean? You are going to end this, and it's not going to end nicely, and your kids are then going to think, my dad was just selfish. So my kids, mate, my 2 kids are what stopped me feeling the way I did.
What I'll do is I'll play the two wee videos. So the first one's called Nuggets, and then recovery is, and we'll talk about addiction stuff for a bit. Right, so probably about 20 minutes or so, half an hour. Alrighty.
Coolio.
So I'll play the videos just now.
Recovery from depression is recognizing when my mind is falling for too long, before I fall too far to somewhere dark, difficult to separate from, to climb back out from. And instead, turning it into a controlled fall, so that you can land where you want to be, as opposed to where you'd rather not be.
So that was the two videos, one on addiction and one obviously tied in with addiction and stuff like that, the recovery from the depression side of things. I think for myself, not really on the addiction side of things, more the recovery from the depression side of things. It's a very hard journey to try and go through. You can be going through absolute hell with it, and it is hard to get through to the other side of the tunnel, and it takes a lot of character, a lot of fight and perseverance to come out the other side. So how did that resonate with yourself, Stephen?
Like, I was watching that first wee video there, and it actually took me back to my days of taking drugs, and it's kind of, it shows you that, I mean, you can continue to do the same thing over and over. Not like, I continued, mate, to go out and get a bottle of vodka or a bottle of bucky, whatever it may be, and I used to always think, oh, maybe you can find your answer at the bottom of a bottle. No, you won't. Maybe I'll find the answer at the next line of coke. No, you won't. You just continue to gradually get worse and worse and worse, mate, until, I mean, I got to a point where there was nothing left of me, that it just felt like a big dark hole. I had nobody around me. I mean, I had no job. I couldn't even get a job, never mind had a job. I mean, I was in no fit state to try and get a job. But I just felt useless, mate. I used to lock myself away constantly. I wouldn't go out. Like my brother used to say, you're a recluse. And I'm like, I'm not a recluse. I just find comfort in my own company. But then I realised my own company was dangerous, because that's when the thoughts started seeping in. Oh, maybe I'll just do this today. Maybe I'll do that to feel better. And I realised, no, Stephen, you need to go out. You need to go and visit family. You need to go and out a walk. You just go do something with yourself. Go play football. Do whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just to take your mind off of that whole day. Like, don't get me wrong, mate. There's still days the day I wake up, and some days it's really bad. Like, my wee boy's birthday's about to come up, so the 26th of March. This is his 21st, so obviously it's a big one for me. But this year I decided, let's do it different. Let's actually celebrate his life. Don't wake up, know what I mean, and sit and cry all day. Celebrate his life. So I mailed my daughter Cassie, and she's never actually been to her brother's grave. Obviously she was young, and we didn't want to take her up, and it would have messed with her head. Know what I mean? But now that she's older, she started asking questions, how, why, where. So I said, how's about I take you up? And she's like, oh yeah, Dad, I'll come up. I'll help you clean his grave, blah, blah, blah. You can help me like tell stories about him and stuff. So that's how I've decided, mate, to cope with this year. Like, I mean, take some bones up, spend the day with my kids, take them out for a meal, that I mean, and tell them more about their brother, help them understand. That means so they know where I went wrong. Like, I say to my daughter every day, like, I'm sorry for being a bad dad. And every day she'll say to me, mate, you're not a bad dad. You may have been not a great dad back then, but you're a good dad now, and that's all that matters. And see, to me, mate, that is all that matters. As long as my kids think I'm a good dad day by day, I'm happy, mate. My day's happy. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to dwell on the past and all the dark thoughts in my head. I don't need to turn to drinking drugs. I can just phone my daughter or my son and speak to them. Do you know what I mean? Or turn to family. My brother, who's always there for me, mate. Me and my brother are inseparable. Like, we always help each other when we're down. If he's down, I help him. If I'm down, he helps me. Do you know what I mean? So I've got my family around me, and that's all I need, mate. It's just my brother and my kids and that. I can't ask for much more than that.
As long as you're there for the kids, that's the main thing. So, on the addiction side of things, what was it the main route, losing the son, and what was it actually started it off?
I can be honest about it, right? Or I can lie. I can turn around and say, oh, I decided to start taking the drugs because of the thoughts in my head, because I couldn't deal with the memories and the dark moments. But then, after a wee while, mate, I started realising a lot of it was the people around about me. A lot of it was the company I kept. Like, the company I kept at that time, mate, they weren't any good for me. I mean, they weren't my friends. They were just people I thought were my friends. And, like, even if there was a day I woke up when I think, I'm not taking drink or drugs today, you go into your household, the drink or drugs would be there. Your friends would be like, oh, do you want some of this? Do you want a bit of that? Oh, aye, I'll try it. It'll be, you know what I mean? It's all fun and games. It'll be a good laugh. It'll be a good night. Nah, mate, it just made me worse. I would end my night every night feeling worse after what I did when I woke up, and I thought, you need to stop, mate. You need to, like, people used to say you were making excuses for your addiction. You were using your son's memory as a reason to take to drinking drugs. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I can't sleep at night. I was having nightmares. I can't function during the day. I would be on a train or a bus and I'd be looking out the window and I'd just be thinking, like, what is life about? I mean, why did I lose my son? Oh, it's so unfair. I mean, I didn't deserve this. The whole world hates me, kind of thing. And then I came to the realisation, mate, like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only person out there that's lost a kid. I'm not the only person that's dealt with the aftermath, the depression, the addiction, you know what I mean? And I had to come out the other side, mate. I had to stop what I was doing. See, if I didn't stop what I was doing, I wouldn't be talking to you now on this podcast. I mean, I would have been well gone, mate, because I would have just, I'd have wrecked myself, do you know what I mean? And I just wanted to get back to a wee bit of normality. I mean, what is normal, mate, nowadays? But my life's a wee bit more normal now. It's a wee bit more planned out, do you know what I mean? I'm working hard. I just want to make memories with my kids. I want to go and do stuff with my brother and stuff, do you know what I mean? Just enjoy my life, mate. Life's too short. If it's one thing my son's death taught me, is life is too short. So enjoy every single moment. Don't waste a moment. I mean, I know some days you wake up yourself, you probably wake up with negative thoughts in your head. See if you can do something, mate. See if you can go out for a walk, go to the gym, whatever it may be, listen to some music, just to get rid of that one negative thought. Then it works, mate. Do you know what I mean? It won't work every single time. There will be times where I'll sit here and I'll think, I'm really doing the day. I could really be doing with some drugs. But then I go, no, mate, you're too old for that. Your kids are going to hate you if you change and go back to that guy that you were in the past. And I don't want that, mate. I don't want my kids to hate me.
So, would you say it was more based on peer pressure that led you
For
into
me,
drugs?
mate, for me it was. I mean, I could blame what I went through, but I won't, because for me it was peer pressure, mate. I hung about with groups of people. I knew a lot of people. I had a lot of acquaintances at the time, and everybody done drugs. Everybody was socially drinking, and it wasn't just a weekend thing. It was Monday to Friday, and then carrying through to Sunday. Do you know what I mean? For me, mate, I personally, it was peer pressure. Now, they didn't force them down my neck, but what I will say is, if I didn't know the people and I wasn't in that household, I wouldn't have done it, mate. It's as simple as that. If I didn't walk in that door, I wouldn't have done it. It was a case of, I'm going to show off. I'm going to be just like you. Do you know what I mean? I want to join in with my pals, but at the same time, it was making me feel a wee bit better. It was giving me an hour of happiness. But then, as you can imagine, when you're on the downturn and you're having a come down, it was days and days and days of depression, weeks maybe. That I mean, I'd be like, why did I do that? Why did I take that drink? Why did I take these drugs? I now feel worse. So I just decided to change, mate. I had to get rid of the circling about me. I had to clear all these people out. And when I was clearing them all out, it was a case of, oh, we thought you were a pal. And I'm like, no, I wasn't your pal. You were a dealer who was making money from me. And because now you're not making that money, I'm not your pal anymore. No, we were never pals in the first place. Do you know what I mean? You never done anything for me. All you done was give me drinks and drugs. Do you know what I mean? That was it. Or offered me the drink and drugs. Like I said to people that I knew, mate, please don't offer me drinking drugs. Those people, mate, still offer me drinking drugs. And I'm like, I just told you not to offer me because I was weak, mate. I knew I would say yes. Just because that was how I dealt with my emotions at the time. So I'm like, don't offer me drinking drugs. And they did, mate. And I'm like, that's not your friends. They're no people out for your well-being. Do you know what I mean?
So it's kind of a double-edged sword type thing then. So it's trying to be part of the cool gang and also an escapism for you as well to try and forget about the pain.
Definitely. 100%, yeah. And the thing is, like, I grew up, most of my days, like, I grew up in Royston. I was born and bred in Royston, but I grew up in Drumchapel. The Drumchapel is what I call, people say it's a big community. To me, it's a small community. Everybody knows everybody. And as you know yourself, a lot of folk in Drumchapel struggled. A lot of people's parents, like, they were smokers, they were drinkers, your aunties and uncles smoked and they drank. It was just, I don't know, it was just a normal thing, mate, in Drumchapel when we grew up. The alcohol was always there. Not the drugs so much, but the alcohol was always there. It just seemed to be like party mode all the time. And I grew up in these surroundings, mate, and I just thought drinking drugs were normal. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was how you lived your life. And then the older I got, I realised, no, this isn't doing my body any good. You know what I mean? I'm not recovering for this. It's just, it's mad, mate. It can be numerous things. Like, it can be peer pressure. It can be the family you grew up in. It can be the thoughts in your head. I think every day there's a different reason it triggers you to want drink or drugs. It's never the same reason. Do you know what I mean?
So, what was your first experience, and what was it about it that made you think, "Fuck, I need to do this. This makes me feel fucking great." Remember, this is all unfiltered, so if you need to swear, that's fine.
The point for me was that just not long after I lost Kieran, I met, shall I say at the time, a close friend, and there was feelings there, and I let that mask how I felt, right? So it was a case of, if I do drugs with this particular person, she's going to have more feelings for me. She's going to accept me for who I am. Do you know what I mean? And that person, mate, at the time just showed me what drugs like cocaine were. I'd never seen cocaine, mate, let alone took it. It was like, oh, try this. What's this? Oh, it's cocaine. It'll make you feel better. Oh, that's fine if you say so. That I mean, gullible enough, mate, to believe it, that it's going to make me feel better. I don't know if you've ever tried cocaine, mate, or any other drug, but it's a high that means you just don't get when you wake up in the normal world. That means it's one of the ones where I done it and I felt amazing, and that mean life was all fun that day. It was all laughter and whatever else. And but when the come down hit, that's when I was like, why do I feel like this? Like, is this the way you feel after taking drugs? Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to move. My body was aching. My thoughts were, shall I say, suicidal at times. This was after taking the drugs. Do you know what I mean? That I took to mask these thoughts. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Why have I woke up today? Do you know what I mean? Like, looking at the people around me thinking, who are these people? These people are your friends, mate. Do you know what I mean? These are just people who are using you for their own gain. And it was just that, mate. Like, I never had any family at the time because I pushed them all away through my drug addiction and my attitude and stuff. And nobody knew. I think they did know it was going on. My family know what I'm like. Do you know what I mean? My family know I can be wild sometimes. And I think they knew, right, Stephen's a real one. But to them, it was just normal. It was just Stephen being Stephen, showing off and being a part of the group. I mean, I was always a joker, mate. So I was always up for a laugh. I mean, I would do anything for anybody, but I realised, mate, that these drugs are damaging me. The thoughts in my head aren't going away. They're getting worse. And I think it was when everything became hazy. See, when I started forgetting the past, when I started forgetting about like moments in the hospital when my son died. People were asking me the story, and I'm like, I can't remember. I can only remember bits. I can remember the flashes, mate. I wish I could remember every single moment, but I can't. Like, I can't remember leaving the hospital. Wee things like that, mate, that I realised maybe that was the drugs. Maybe the drugs are making me forget everything that I should be remembering. Or maybe my mind chose to blank them out because I decided those parts of it are no good for. That mean the memories and how I felt. So
For myself, with the drug side of things, I took cocaine once and it never really done anything for me. I think because I'm undiagnosed with ADHD, so when I took it, it didn't really have an effect on me. I got a sore nose. Remember that? My nose burnt. And ecstasy gave me energy. But for me, it was more weed. So it was more cannabis. Whether it be solid or plant, that was more my preference because that would chill me out. I'll probably have family members watching this going, fuck, I didn't know that. There you go. Unfiltered. So for me, it was more like I would go to parties and stuff like that, and if somebody had some weed or something like that, I'd be like, take some of that because I knew it'd calm me down. And it'd make me feel pretty mellow. So anybody that knew me always thought I was always out my face. I was just quite a chilled, mellow guy. When I was just relaxing and enjoying myself. So it was that and probably drink as well. I wouldn't say I had an issue with drink. I'd done binge drinking like most people do at the weekends. Apart from when I was DJing in Cyprus, I was drinking every night. Just because that was part of what happened over there. I was there for about 6 months, 7 months, and I was drinking all the time there. But I wouldn't say to the extent where I was dependent on it. Maybe possibly a wee bit with the cannabis, but I wasn't like really dependent on it. But I was to a certain extent. And then I fell through one of my friend's glass tables. I was like, right, that's it. I'm not touching another thing ever again. Just touch the booze now and again. I'll go in the weekend, maybe have the odd bender, get absolutely annihilated as you do, and then any other time I have a drink, I'll have like 1 or 2 drinks, get to that merry fuzzy feeling, and then I'm like, right, that's me. I won't go on beyond that. So like my birthday just passed there, start of the month. I was like, I'm just going to get trash because I need to let my hair down and just basically get it out of my system. So next time I do that, it'll probably be a year or 2. I don't do it all the time, you know what I mean? Whereas before I used to do it every weekend. So I can kind of understand on that side of things with escapism. So I can. So when did you realise you had an issue with the addiction? Or was there somebody that said to you, listen, I think you may have a bit of a problem here, pal?
aye, it was actually my cousin at the time. Me and my cousin were mental. Like we done the party. Like she knew that what I was going through. She was supportive, mate. I will give her that. But she was going through her own thing at the time as well, and she was feeding her habit with drink and cannabis and all that. And I was into all that, mate. Like I tried anything, do you know what I mean? And it was just we partied, mate. We had our fun, and then I took it too far. I was fun. I can't remember much about it. I took too much coke one day. I was full on the floor. I had the nosebleeds and all that. I was told I passed out. I was foaming at the mouth, blah, blah, blah. At the time, I had a couple of health issues that obviously I didn't know about. And obviously the drugs were triggering that more. And like my family had looked at me and they were like, no, Stephen, you need help. I was rushed to hospital. I woke up. I remember being covered with like a silver blanket and told that I was dehydrated and all this. Like obviously they're like, look, you obviously need a bit of help, Stephen. You've got stuff going on. We'll get a counsellor in, blah blah blah. It was that's when I realised, mate, I had an issue when I knew I'd overdone it. Do you know what I mean? And I felt terrible, mate. Like I literally felt like death, and I looked like death. Like I thinking back now, mate, like looking at myself in the mirror back then, I was a shadow of the guy that I'm on now. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what am I doing to myself? Like, mate, you're not going to be alive in the next year if you keep this up. Do you know what I mean? So I think that was it, mate. When I was found on the floor after getting too greedy on drugs, that's when I realised, no, that's it. Game's up, mate.
So was it like a kind of intervention type thing off of somebody where they got a group of people in there like, listen, you need to sit down, we need to tell you this and make you see sense type thing? Or was it just, listen, mate, you know what? I think you might have a bit of a problem here.
Yeah, it was basically my family, mate. It was my family around me, like my wee brother and all that, telling me, look, you're basically taking the cunt now, Stephen. Do you know what I mean? Like, being honest with me, mate. Like, stop making excuses. We know, like my family said, we know you're hurting. We know that I mean about the thoughts in your head. We know everything that's going on, but you need to talk to us. You can come and talk to us, but at the time, well, I didn't want to open up to anybody. I didn't want to discuss my son. Didn't want to discuss how I felt. I guess I was too strong-minded. Like, oh, I'm big bad Stephen. I can take on the world. I can handle it. And do you know what I mean? And then I realised, no, you do need to calm down. You do need to talk to somebody. You do need to just sit down and just open up, mate, about how I felt. And it took a lot. It took a hell of a lot. But see, to be honest, mate, see if it wasn't for my family staying on my back constantly about it and telling me, Stephen, we're there for you. You just need to come and talk to us. Do you know what I mean? Open up. I wouldn't have been here, mate. You know what I mean? I would not have been here. So I'm thankful to them for actually giving me the kick up the arse I needed and saying, Stephen, stop doing what you're doing. You aren't that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like they were saying to me, be the guy you were before Kieran died. Be that guy. And I'm like, I can't find that guy. That guy's gone. And 100% honestly here, mate, I've never found that guy. I'll never find that guy again. That guy's gone. He's in the past. I've changed. As I said, my whole perception of the world around me, my day-to-day attitude is different from most. Like, I don't look at the world the same as other people look at it. Like, I don't know how you look at it when you wake up in the morning, mate, but some days I look out in the window and I think, I hate this world. I mean, like, this world handed me something that isn't fair. I didn't deserve that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, you're not the only person going through hell, Stephen. You're not the only person to lose somebody close to them. You're not the only person to go through these thoughts and the addictions, blah, blah, blah. So pull your socks up and get on, mate. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's all it takes, mate. It's just that wee bit of self-care, do you know what I mean? To know that, like, when we went to Men Matters, the guys were great. Get up to Men Matters. I met a lot of friends who are still friends today. Guys that I'm close to, guys that I play football with, I spend days with. And they had the same one day. Somebody said, I can't remember who it was. One of the boys said, if you can get up in the morning and make your bed, that's you done one thing. If you can go out for a walk, that's you done two. If you've done these two things and you've managed to get out the door and no locked yourself in the house, then it's a positive. So I just started with small steps, mate. Small steps, going out walking, going hill walking, like just talking to other people, you know what I mean? Just living life, mate. Just living life and making memories. You see that?
It might have been me when I was volunteering there, because I said that quite a lot of people.
Mate, everybody, like, I remember meeting yourself. I remember meeting Fraser at the time, Gregor, all top guys, mate. Every one of you guys would go around and we'd all share each other's stories. We'd all offer each other a cup of tea, do you know what I mean? And that, mate, see, just sitting down with a group of guys and talking, it changes a lot, do you know what I mean? It can make your day that wee bit better, just to get it off your shoulders and then take a deep breath and go, right, I can deal with my day now, do you know what I mean? There is people out there I can talk to.
No, totally. What we'll do, just about to finish up. So what we'll do is we'll touch on, you sent me some photos. Your stepfather, the kids and your nieces in France, is it?
Aye, my two nieces, Lexi and Emma, over in Mazame, yeah.
A wee bit about
Basically,
them.
my brother's actually. My wee brother Anthony, he's actually at work to do. He's a chef down at Chandler's in Clydebank.
Alright, okay.
He's just back last night for seeing his two daughters, so he flew out on, I think it was Thursday night, late on. He flew out,
Yeah.
we're over to Mazime, spent the weekend with the kids. He's going back over in August, but Lexi and Emma, they're both gymnasts, they're both lovely wee girls, mate, like the most beautiful wee girls that I've ever seen in my life, besides my own daughter, obviously, but where your kids get the looks, mate, I don't know, because we're not the best looking, so I'm guessing the mums
You're a
sort of.
hound. You're an absolute hound.
The plan is, I've spoke to Emma and Lexi on the phone. We're basically I'm trying to learn a bit of French, they're trying to learn a bit of Scottish type thing, and I'm going over, I think we're going back over in August now, so I'm getting my passport, and for the first time I'm going abroad where I'll be meeting my two nieces, so I'll be able to actually sit them down that, I mean, and learn a lot about them and stuff, and learn obviously what French life is all about. Like my brother used to live over there, he was married, sadly now divorced and that, but he's fine, do you know what I mean, he's getting there, and he's like, come over, come out to France, you know what I mean, see a different life, meet the ways, and just let your hair down. So I thought I'll do that. You know what I mean, that's one of the first things on my thing. The other thing is learning how to drive. I need to pay for lessons first, but I need to learn how to drive. But basically, we lost my wee dad. Now, my dad Dean, who I've obviously spoke to you about before, he was the guy that broke me up. Like, don't get me wrong, wasn't a perfect dad by far. He had issues with alcohol and drugs through the years, but I will say this, was always there when we needed him. Like later on in life, he got clean, he was years and years sober, he attended AA meetings, he helped other people, he one of the best chefs, mate, one of the best chefs in Glasgow, taught a lot of other young guys how to be chefs, who then came to us and said, I mean, your dad's a great guy, brilliant chef, but sadly, mate, we lost him 2 years ago now. And it was tough, mate. That I mean, it was really tough. He had a heart attack in his house, just doing his thing, talking to the boys, mate. Next minute, sudden heart attack, gone. Now, for us, mate, that changed us again. That I mean, that made us realise that life is too short now. Do you know what I mean? We're losing everybody around about us. And my dad was one of our heroes, mate. Like, as I said, he broke me up. He was my dad. That was the guy I was brought up to believe was my dad. Do you know what I mean? The guy who put trainers on my feet, clothes in my back, food in my mouth. And like I said, mate, I'll always be thankful to Ian. Always, mate. Because, like, obviously my brother felt it there because it's his maternal dad. But I was there when it all happened. Like, my wee brother, who was working in Fort William at the time, I had to relay all this to him as he was working and coming home from work and stuff. So just to be there, mate, in the end, it was hard, but it did feel special. Like, there was that connection. That I mean, like the day I lost him, mate, I realised, like, I actually thought more of him than I thought I did. Like, I used to always think, like, oh, he's just your stepdad. He's just your stepdad. You know what I mean? He's not your real dad. But when he died, mate, it felt like I'd lost a huge part of me. It felt like, you are my dad. Do you know what I mean? Like, my kids doted on him. My kids thought he was funny. They thought he was the best granddad ever. You know what I mean? But I think the only positive part about all this is before my dad died, he managed to go over to France for the first time. He managed to meet his two granddaughters and spent time with them, and he got pictures with them. So the kids have got memories with him. You know what I mean? And we've got memories of him smiling in France and coming home happy. And so that's all we can ask for, mate. Do you know what I mean? We're just making sure the kids are okay now, and the kids understand, like, what happened to Papa. Do you know what I mean? Why Papa's not here? Obviously, they're young. Kids don't understand death a lot. They're asking why. Yeah. Why is Papa dead? So it's just helping them understand, do you know what I mean? What kind of guy he was, what he done for other people. And I'll get up, mate, to my wee brother. He has absolutely put his heart in his sleeve, mate. Like, my wee brother has dealt with my struggles lately. I went through a lot. I wasn't working at the time. I get depressed, mate, when I don't work. I love working. So see, when I'm not working, I'm depressed. But see, when I'm at work, it takes my mind off everything. I don't overthink because I'm thinking about day-to-day stuff in work. And I will say this for my wee brother, Tony. He's been there for me through thick and thin, mate. He's one of the best chefs. Again, after my dad. Not as good as my dad, but he's good. But anybody who's met Tony, mate, will know Tony's got a big heart. He's got time for everybody. And I just want my wee brother to know that if it wasn't for you, that I mean, I would be struggling. And thanks to him, I'm no in a big bad struggle. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's in a cost of living now, mate. Everybody's going through the same thing. But I'm thankful to him, mate, for helping me out, and I help him out when I get paid and stuff. So it's just been good, mate, to spend some time with my brother and that. And that, I mean, I think for the first time in our life, obviously he was away in France living for years before the divorce and stuff went through, and I didn't see him. So when he came back, that was the quality time we had together. So it's been worth every moment, mate. Honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Just before we finish up, then, how did you come to the realisation of, well, not the realisation, try to think out of it. How did you get to the point of basically recovery of the death of your boy? How did you come to terms, basically? How did you come to terms with that? And then obviously, how did you start to recover as well from the addiction?
I think, truth be told, right, that I've had this discussion with other parents who've lost kids. We don't get at it. We don't learn how to deal with it. I think the open attitude to it is every day is a different challenge. Like I said earlier, my wee son's 21st birthday's on the 26th of March. I have thought about it every day this week. You know what I mean? I've thought about the day. I've planned it out in my head. You know what I mean? And every day is different, mate. Every day is different. Every day is a new challenge. Every day could be a new bad thought. It could be a good thought. It could be somewhere in between. You just cope day to day, mate. That's all you do. You wake up and you just hope today will be a good day. Does that mean if there's negative going on in your life, it can ante and kind of brings all the bad negative thoughts back. But I try and not let one wee thing bother me, mate. If one negative thing comes into my day, I don't let it seep in and go, all right, Stephen, you need to go and start taking drugs again to feel better about this negative feeling. I think what I done, mate, was just decided I'll take it day by day by day. And that means I make a point every day talking to my kids, talking to my brother, talking to my cousins. That means just anybody, mate, talking to pals, whatever, just to make sure that everybody's staying okay. Like, I like to mail my family and say, are you okay? Are you alright? Know what I mean? Do you need to talk or whatever? And I just realised, mate, that taking drugs isn't the answer. It's not the answer. It's a short-term blocking out my feelings type thing, but it's never going to take away your pain. It's certainly not going to do your health any good or your mental thoughts any good. It's just going to make you worse. So that's completely honest, mate. I take it day by day, every day, and I hope the more when I wake up, it's a good day. I hope the more when I wake up, I've not got all these thoughts in my head about the past, you know what I mean? And every day, mate, I'm determined not to touch drugs. Do you know what I mean? I don't need a drink. I don't need drugs. I don't drink anyway. I don't enjoy alcohol. I never have. And drugs, I'm like, I don't need it. And right now, let's be honest, mate, we're in a cost of living. Drugs cost too much money in today's world.
Yeah.
So that alone is reason enough, do you know what I mean? But I will say, anybody out there who is struggling, whether it be with addiction, loss, anything, drugs aren't the answer. Pick your phone up, go out for a walk, speak to somebody. Just speak to somebody. Don't shut yourself up in your house and that I mean, shut yourself away because it's no good. There is people out there willing to listen. There is people willing to talk, and there's always a shoulder to cry on, mate. And I'll say this for any guy out there, including yourself. If any guys ever want to chat, mate, my social media is open. Just send me a mail. Do you know what I mean? I'm always here.
That takes me on to the final bit I was going to ask you. Do you have any advice or coping strategies, which basically you covered there by saying talk? That's one of the biggest helps that anyone can get, is just by sharing how they feel. That's why I do this podcast, to get people to open up about things, so they can share it and share that experience with people that's been through it, type thing, and are struggling with whatever the issue is. So like with yourself, with the child loss and the addiction and stuff like that. Hopefully this will help at least one person.
Yeah.
Do you have any wee nuggets that you would like to give? Or any wee quotes or anything like that before we go?
I think, like my dad always used to say, mate, life is too short. Life, now I've experienced a lot in life, I've realised life is too short. Enjoy every moment. The one thing I will say, and I'll make it known on here to everybody, for anybody who was affected by my behaviour, for anybody who thought I was a complete arsehole, I'll apologise. The people that I know I've hurt, I've already apologised to face, but there might be people out there that think he's still a big bad arsehole. No, this guy changed me. I'm sorry for the hurt and pain that I caused other people, but like I said, life is too short. We've all got struggles in life, mate. Everybody's in the same boat, so don't think you're any worse off than the next person. Do you know what I mean? There's people probably out there with bigger problems than you. I mean, I'm just a wee small part of a bigger clock, mate. So it's just enjoy your life, mate. Life's too short. Spend time with the people you love and laugh as much as you can and make memories. Make memories. If you can go and jump into cold water, doing cold water therapy, if you can jump off a pier, go do it. That mean, go do it. Take a chance, mate. Experience something new.
Well, when you say jump half a pier, you don't mean go and jump half a pier. Just in case somebody's thinking, you just said go and jump half a pier.
We went to Met Martyr, we went to Met Martyr and used to jump half it in for fun. But we used to go to lunch beer there called water therapy.
Just so I've got a wee disclaimer there. It's not actually saying go and jump half a pier. But you know what I mean?
No, certainly not. No. Last pier's only about 3 foot high. You definitely won't hurt yourself if you jump off it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate, and thanks for coming on. And also give Matt a wee shout out. He had to leave because he had.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. I'll catch up with Matt hopefully after that.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. And again, another wee shout out to the suppliers of the video, Child Bereavement UK, Film Binder Studio, Voxy, and iHeed. Thanks for the video usage. And also Green Sunrise for helping me get set up for doing podcasts and getting me off the ground and up and running.
Yep.
So that's it for today. If you've enjoyed the show, please say it in the comments and subscribe, follow, share. Let everyone know. If you feel like you want to come on and share whatever you've been through, whatever issues or anything like that, and you feel comfortable talking about it, by all means, send me a message on the comments and a wee private message via the YouTube, or if you're on my Twitter or whatever the case is, send me a wee message and I'll arrange a wee session for you to come on and have a chat with us. Until then, Stephen, thanks very much, mate. That's been a great wee podcast today. Really enjoyed it. I've got a newfound respect for you, for everything you've been through, mate. Just absolutely phenomenal. And everyone else, this has been Where There's a Will, There's a Way. Thanks very much. And I'll see you all the next time. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care, everyone.